everyone, welcome to another show of Return to Eden. Today we're doing a fall cooking show, giving you some ideas for that Thanksgiving feast. Unfortunately, Kendra couldn't make it today, but we are blessed to have a special guest. Everyone welcome Brittany Jackson, Head of Media at Skywatch TV.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
We will be making 4 recipes that are really more like 3. So we're going to start with a paleo take on stuffing. We're going to be doing a fresh fall salad, and then we're going to end with an apple galette. And so we will show you how to make a paleo crust, and then we'll make the filling and combine it. For our first recipe, we're going to make paleo sweet potato bacon stuffing. So we have a pound of bacon, we have 1 small onion chopped, 4 stalks of celery, we have a tablespoon maple syrup, 2 tablespoons dried cranberries, a half teaspoon of dried thyme, and 1 teaspoon of dried sage, and 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, or measure with your heart. And of course, 1 apple, and it's going to be 4 cups of sweet potato diced, and salt and pepper to taste. So we're about to begin cooking our paleo sweet potato bacon stuffing, and we'll begin by browning our bacon. But while my pan is heating up, let me first tell you a little bit about Eden's healthy cooking oil. This unique blend of oils includes organic extra virgin olive oil, organic sesame seed oil, organic sunflower seed oil, organic extra virgin coconut, and organic Saute inchi oil. There are no fillers, artificial colors, flavors, or enhancers. And for a lot of you who are panicking because, oh my gosh, there are seed oils. Well, let me tell you a little bit about why we need to be wary of most seed oils. It has to do with 2 different things. One is some of these seed oils are really high in omega-6s, which in the standard American diet, we already get way too many omega-6s, and that throws off our balance of omega-6 to omega-3s. And so generally, especially when eating out or trying to eat fried foods, those are often fried in processed canola oil or inflammatory corn oil. But what makes them even worse is how they're processed. How are these oils extracted from the seeds? It usually is done with high heat processing and or the use of chemical solvents to remove the oils from the seeds to use. And that makes them very toxic, very inflammatory. Now in ours, they have been cold pressed. They're not introduced to heat. They're not introduced to any chemicals at all. So while some of these are a little higher in omega-6 than omega-3, there are other health benefits to make it worth it. And just overall, be aware of how much omega-6 you are getting in your diet. And of course, all of our cooking oils at Eden's Essentials are certified organic. So oftentimes legacy media will get little bits of information from studies that are based on very weak science. A lot of these come out of some of the more popular academia institutions such as Harvard, where they end up really promoting something that's based on correlation and not enough evidence showing a direct causation. And the media will just go with it because it's Harvard or it's whatever other academia they're all about at the time. That's why looking into the research to see if this actually lines up with evidence-based research, or is it just a commonality that has been blown way out of proportion, such as the seed oils. So yes, industrialized seed oils are very toxic and inflammatory. So be sure to do your own research. Now that we have cooked our bacon, we set it aside, and now it's time to saute our sweet potato until tender. So for years, fat in the diet was really demonized because of some weak science that had come out previously, suspect maybe to some corruption in the industry. But we're finding now that fat is actually very beneficial for the body, and it's really the high carbs or the high starches, that we should avoid. So that is why I do love some paleo recipes, because they use more sweet potato and very little sweetener, and usually in the form of something natural. Like today's recipe, we're using maple syrup as a sweetener. So while you are cooking your sweet potatoes, if it looks like you need a little bit more fat, you can go ahead and add back a little bit of the bacon grease. All right, our sweet potato is fork tender, so I'm going to remove it and set it aside. And the next step is to saute the garlic and the onion until soft. So since my research on microplastics and how prevalent they are and how we're exposed to them at such high amounts every day in our modern society, I have slowly been switching my kitchen over to more wood utensils, stainless steel, and glass. Okay, so we have our onion, our garlic, and our celery cooking, and in just a moment I'm going to add our apples. Now that all of these ingredients are fork tender, we are going to go ahead and add back our sweet potato, our bacon, and now is the time that we're going to add our dried cranberries, the maple syrup, and our dried thyme and sage. And I'm going to end it by adding our Eden salt and some organic ground black pepper. Well, Brittany, what do you think? It looks wonderful.
It smells really good in your house right now, and I can't wait to try this. I've never sauteed sweet potatoes, but they actually look really crispy.
Yeah, I like how they caramelize just a little bit, so you know it's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
And it adds to the beauty of the dish. So let's dig in. Yeah.
I really like the sweet potato with the apple. The apple almost tastes like a parsnip because it got cooked down, but it has that sweetness with it.
You're right. I agree. I like how there's just a hint of sweetness and a bunch of flavors and a little bit of crisp texture. Yeah. I think this is a beautiful replacement if you're kind of tired of the standard stuffing and you want something that is healthy and maybe something where people will be like, wow, that's really pretty. This is an excellent recipe for that occasion.
And I think too, it would be good, if your work or your friend group has like a Thanksgiving type of dinner together and somebody's already bringing the traditional stuffing, you could bring this as kind of a healthier option, but it doesn't look healthier. It looks just as good as any other type of Thanksgiving food. So
yeah, it looks really
fancy. It's a good
fancy.
sneaky replacement.
Yes, that's true. Well, I like this. I think this is going to become a yearly tradition in my family. This was really impressive.
Yeah.
And this, I have to note that Kendra shared this recipe with us. This recipe is from her late husband, Greg Han. And so we wanted to make this dish in honor of him. And it is a really good one.
Yeah, no, he did a good job.
Yeah.
That was really nice of her to share that with us. And we wish she was here to try it, but I'm sure we'll have this at work sometime soon.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Okay, our next recipe is for a paleo pie crust, and we are going to use this to make an apple galette. So we have 1 cup of cassava flour, 3 tablespoons of arrowroot powder, 2 tablespoons of tapioca flour, a 1/2 cup of butter, and we'll also add 1/2 cup of ice water, 1 egg, and 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar.
All right, I'm going to dump the cup of cassava flour, the 3 tablespoons of arrowroot powder, and then I have the tapioca flour. And now I'm going to take the frozen butter Don't be afraid to use your hands. And then I actually have a potato masher instead of a pastry knife, but you can use whatever. And you can also put this into a food processor. And basically we're just gonna want to blend this up until the butter is the size of peas and it is a little bit together, but we are gonna add water and stuff later to really emulsify it. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the egg. And this is actually a farm fresh egg from a girl at Skywatch TV. I have a half cup of ice water that I'm gonna add. And then I'm gonna add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Okay, and now I'm gonna mix this to make the dough. So I did have to go ahead and add maybe 1 or 2 more tablespoons of ice water. It's a little drier here where we are, but if you're in a more humid area, I would probably stick to the half cup and then add as needed. So here's what the dough is looking like, and I'm gonna actually add it to a beeswax parchment type of paper. It's actually reusable to avoid using, you know, any unnecessary plastics. I'm gonna kind of spread it out to be a square so that whenever we roll it out in a little bit, it'll be easier to spread out. And just remember, since this is a gluten-free dough, it will look a little different than a traditional dough made with flour, but that's okay. I'm just gonna add a little bit more cassava flour just to make sure it doesn't stick to anything. Okay, so we have it wrapped in this beeswax wrap, and we're just gonna let it rest in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes or until it's a little bit more firm. Okay, so now I'm gonna make the filling for the galette. So I'm going to take, this is 4 teaspoons of tapioca flour and a little bit of salt. And then right here I have cinnamon, ginger, allspice, and nutmeg. And then I'm gonna do 1 tablespoon of coconut sugar. And then I have a 1/3 cup of maple syrup. And now I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of water. Okay, now I'm just gonna mix this together, and it's gonna make kind of like a syrup that will mix with the apples. And tapioca is actually a good replacement for cornstarch in a lot of recipes. It can make it kind of more like a silky sauce instead of just watery. Now I'm gonna take our 4 cups of apples and add it to the mixture. I'm just gonna mix the apples with that mixture. Now I'm just gonna set that aside, and I'm gonna roll out our dough. We let it sit in the fridge while we chopped up the apples. Okay, now I'm gonna add the dough to this cooking stone. And you can go ahead and add more cassava flour as needed. It is a little bit stickier since it's gluten-free. Okay, so now that it's on our stone, I'm gonna go ahead and roll it out to be really thin. Okay, so now I have it all rolled out and it looks really pretty, and I'm gonna add the apples. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and curve up the edges to try to keep in the juices from the mixture we just made. So this is what it looks like in the end. We did sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on top, and now we're gonna put it into the oven at 375 degrees. It's probably gonna be in there for about 30 to 40 minutes, but it's good to keep an eye on it. Like we said, this is gluten-free, so sometimes things work a little differently and you don't want it to burn.
Okay, while our apple galette is in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes or until done, we are going to make a shredded Brussels sprout salad. This is going to be very colorful. As you can see, we have pomegranate seeds and walnuts. So let me read you the ingredients. 1 pound of Brussels sprouts, 1 bunch of kale, 1 lemon juiced, 2 to 3 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 1/2 cup olive oil, 2 tablespoons minced shallot, 3 cloves garlic, 1/2 cup of pomegranate seeds, 1 cup walnuts, specifically candied, but they don't have to be, and salt and pepper to taste, and of course some shredded Parmesan for the topping. So we're going to begin by shredding our Brussels. I went ahead and got a little bit of a head start, but I'm going to finish. Okay, now we're going to add our 1 bunch of kale and the juice from 1 lemon. Okay, now we're going to whisk in a small bowl our olive oil, our red wine vinegar, our shallots, our garlic, and salt and pepper. So we're going to use 1/2 cup of olive oil. And of course I'm using Eden's olive oil because it is cold pressed and from a small family farm in Italy. And the flavor is very, very robust. We need our shallots, garlic, and 2 to 3 tablespoons of our red wine vinegar. I put in probably at least a teaspoon of salt. We're going to whisk it together. Now we pour everything we whisked onto our salad. And we're going to toss well to coat. I don't know about you, I like to use my hands. They are clean, I assure you. Now we can top it with our pomegranate seeds, our candied walnuts, and our Parmesan cheese. Okay, here's our pomegranate seeds. We bought an actual pomegranate and Brittany helped me get the seeds out. Aren't they beautiful? I don't know if you've tried pomegranate seeds, but I love how they pop in your mouth. And for our walnuts, I couldn't find candied walnuts, but that's probably okay because they're most likely made by mixing some type of seed oil with some GMO sugar. So these, I just took some regular raw walnuts and I candied them myself with a little bit of butter and coconut sugar. And shredded Parmesan cheese. You could also use shaved Parmesan cheese if you wanted.
Yeah, I have to say, I was standing behind the camera watching Jamie, put all the ingredients together. I could smell the aroma of the olive oil and the pomegranates and everything, and it looks really fresh.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I hope it tastes as good as it looks.
Yeah, let's see.
Wow.
That's really good.
I'm glad we did do the candied walnuts.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be good if you just had regular walnuts. But something about how we caramelized them with the coconut sugar, so good.
And I do have to say that Eden's olive oil is different than most olive oils I think people have tried.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know, but a lot of the cheaper olive oil is cut with like a canola or a vegetable oil.
Yeah.
And you can tell with the flavor and the color of this one that it's 100% olive oil.
Yes. Yeah, the flavor is really strong in a delightful way, and you can even smell it in the light dressing that's on there. I think this is a bit of a showstopper. I think we're going to have to include that in our Thanksgiving meals going forward. It's gorgeous. We should check on our apple galette.
Yes. Wow, Jamie, this looks so beautiful with the fresh apples on the side and the cinnamon. I can't wait to eat this.
So you did a great job. It looks amazing.
You can almost cut it like a regular apple pie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It smells like apple pie, but it has that gorgeous rustic look. Very simple, very basic.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. They're tender, but still a little crisp.
Yeah, and look at that cinnamon.
Mm-hmm. Did I get some crust? Yeah.
It's gonna be hot, so be careful.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's good. I expected it to be a little bit more like apple pie. It's kind of its own thing.
Yeah, that dough's really good with it. It's not like pie crust. It's almost more like a flatbread cookie, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
A little drier, but still really good with that butter and everything in it.
Mm-hmm. It's very good. It's not as overly sweet as an apple pie, which if you prefer that, you could adjust the recipe. But I kind of like it has this beautiful, wholesome flavor to it, and it's not overly sweet, like sickeningly.
No.
So
you can taste the apple instead of just sugar.
Yeah.
And the maple syrup and everything adds a way richer taste.
Yeah, I like it.
You know it's good because we're going back for seconds.
Mm-hmm. They're all good, but I'm a dessert girl.
Mm-hmm.
I really am.
And I think kids would like this too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have kids, but I kind of have a kid palate where I'm a little scared to try newer foods, and I would say this is really good. If you're not used to gluten-free stuff, you would still really enjoy this.
Yeah, that's excellent. So we made it gluten and dairy-free.
And refined sugar-free.
That's right, because we used coconut sugar and maple syrup.
Yeah.
This is very good. You can also serve it with ice cream or whipped cream, and that would add a little sweetness as well.
Yeah, I've seen they have coconut whipped cream. That doesn't have sugar at some stores. So you can do it, again, without refined sugars that way.
That's very good. Well, if you try these recipes at home, we would love to hear your thoughts or how you adjusted it for your own palate. We would love to see photos of your versions of these recipes, and you can tag us on social media at Eden's Essentials.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for having me on Return to Eden. This was really fun. And of course, we all miss Kendra, but I had fun getting to actually be on the other side of the camera with you. So this was awesome.
Yeah, as head of media, she's often behind the camera or giving direction. And it was such a pleasure to have you on. That was so fun to mix things up a little bit. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.